everybody, how are you all doing today? So, as I had promised, Tuesdays is no longer my day off. I am doing a quote-unquote art stream, mainly to learn how to use Blender and Krita. Krita is a Photoshop-like software that is free, since I can't pay for it. But after I did a poll over on my Discord, Blender had more favor. That poll there won. So I'll be prioritizing mainly Blender, taking like roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours, while Krita will only get about an hour, and that's it. Also, on the middle of at the end of each segment, I will do like an outro for YouTube and V streams, because I will upload these videos separately, and have a playlist for Blender and a playlist for the Krita one, or however this is pronounced. Sorry that I don't have any music on right now. Was hoping to find some music to have running in the background, but because of things I was busy doing, I did not have time to look for a playlist that won't get me copyrighted. I know that YouTube has some music that can be played in the background without worrying too much about copyright, but I didn't have time to experiment with that. Like I said, I was busy like all day. I almost pretty much did not stream today, but I had made a promise and I'm here now. Now I will be starting with the tutorials on their respective websites, because I don't know how to do either. I don't know how to use Blender. I don't know how to use Krita. I never used any Photoshop-like software. I never used any 3D modeling software. So I'll be starting off with those, with learning how to use the platforms. And let's see, I already have the Blender one set up, and since I've never used this before, I'll be going with the basics. Well, of course we'll skip these two and the configuration one. I'm actually gonna skip all of it, because this is just okay, install, setting things up. I already had Blender installed. I couldn't find a way to like maybe to check for an update. I didn't see an update option, and I really don't want to download a new Blender. And this is like, it says 2.9D, which I think is what I have right now. I have 2.90.1, so I'm guessing this is. I don't know if this is the latest version or not. Like I said, I did not find any update option. So either way, I will start with this. Of course, let's start with the first one, the interface of the Blender. Let's see. The main reason why I'm trying to learn this, there's actually two reasons. One, since I'm learning Unreal with my friend's favorite Jim, I would like to learn how to make like our own asset, really, for 2D or 3D. That's why I just should learn both platforms. Originally, I was going to do just one, but I consider the benefits of learning both. And the second reason will be to maybe one day make my own model. Since I cannot afford to commission, I wanted to commission one, but I cannot afford it. There's no way for me to pay for it at the current time. I want to eventually make the model I actually intended to do. Like, the one I have was made from a template, and it's the closest thing I could make for it. But eventually I do want to make what Venturious Blackheart was meant to look like. And for those who don't know, that's the name of my avatar. Venturious Blackheart. That would be me. So let's see. Let's go off from the very beginning. Now I'm gonna use separate tabs for this as a precaution. I have Blender open just in case I need to use it. And of course this is the first thing I see, just with a different image on it. Since they're using the 2.80 image for some reason for the tutorials. When starting Blender, The splash screen appears in the center of the window. It contains options to create new projects and open recently opened blend files. A more detailed description can be found below. And probably through this, for those that watch my Unreal stream, will probably see why I let Jem do most of the reading. Since English is not my main language, don't be too surprised if I struggle with some words. Like, I am seeing this, but I do have a different image for those that are seeing it on the preview right now. Hopefully, everything's running well and you guys can see it and you guys can hear it. Hopefully by next time I can have some music running in the background for you guys. Now let's see. To close the splash window and start a new project, click anywhere outside the splash screen but inside the Blender window, or press escape. The splash screen will disappear, revealing the default screen. To reopen the splash screen, click on the Blender icon and the top bar and select splash screen. In other words, if I go to Blender right now, if I click out here, okay, it's gone. If I click here and splash screen, okay, that opens up again. Okay, that's what you know. I do like it that they did it this way. They don't need to go to another completely different window just to access this, like Unreal. Unreal has that the startup screen where you need to select the what you're doing, where you're opening a project or starting a new one, what templates you want to do, and things like that. Well, here, okay, splash screen. Here it is. Choose what you want to do. I like this. I do like that they went for that. I wish Unreal had its own little splash screen. Now let's see, information region. The upper part of the splash screen contains the splash image with the Blender version in the top right. Interactive region. The interactive region is the bottom half of the splash screen. New file starts a new project based on a template. Recent file, your most recently opened blend file. This gives a quick and easy access to your recent project. Open allows you to allows opening an existing blend file. Recover last session. Blender will try to recover the last session based on the temporary file. See recovery data. Links to the official website, the same links can be found in the help menu and toolbar. Note, when starting Blender for the first time, the interactive region contains a quick setup process. Since this I had installed a long time ago to do my own experimentation, I might have already done that. Click next. Will this take me Windows introduction, which is this? Okay, it took me straight towards the actual next step. I do like that. It's more straightforward. Windows System Introduction. After starting Blender and closing the splash screen, the Blender window should look something similar to the image below, as Blender user's interface is consistent across all platforms. Something we saw when I clicked out to see about the splash screen part. Blender's interface is separate into three main parts. Toolbar at the top, areas in the middle, status bar on the bottom. Let me have a look. Open the wrong one. Let's see. So okay, that's. It looks like this would be used for animations or something like that. I'm guessing. Of which I'm gonna get to sometime later. Customization. Blender also makes a heavy use of keyboard shortcuts to speed up work. These can also be customized at the keypad editor. Theme color. Blender allows for most of its interface color settings to be changed to suit the need of the user. If you find the colors you see on the screen do not match those mentioned in the manual, then it can be that your default theme has been altered. Creating a new theme or selecting altering a pre-existing one can be done by selecting the preference editor and clicking on the theme tab. I'm not gonna be messing with that, honestly. Top bar. The menus, top app menu. Splash screen opens the splash screen. About Blender opens the menu displaying information about Blender. Version, the Blender version, date when the Blender was compiled. Hash, the git hash of the build. This can be useful to give to support personnel when diagnosing a problem. This is something I might need to learn so I can upload my whatever I make up to the cloud, up to the GitHub or something. Branch, optional branch name. Release note, open release, latest release notes. Credits, open the credits, license, Blender websites, Blender store. Oh, Blender store. I hope there is some free to use stuff since I don't have money to purchase like some assets or stuff like that. And if that can help make something decent with some prefabs, then that'll be great. It'll save a lot of time. But the main thing I'm trying to do is like trying to make my own things. Development funds, installing application templates. File menu. The option to manage files are new. Clears the current scene and loads the selected application template. Opens the blend file. Open recent displays a list of recently saved blend files to open. Okay, so it doesn't straight up open the last thing you worked on, but it opens instead a list of recent works. Revert reopens the current file to its last safe version. Recover last session. This will load the blend file that Blender automatically saved just before exiting. So this option enables you to recover your last work session. E.g. if you close Blender by accident or a power outage, which is another option, which is something that can happen and has happened to me on stream. I've had power outages during some of my streaming sessions, mainly during the games. So for a little pause there, I need to drink some water. Save, of course, saving current one. Save as opens the file browser to specify the file name and location to save. Save copy. Save a copy of the current file. Now this is new. I've never seen this before actually. I know save and save as, but save copy? This is the first. And this might actually be useful to make like backups or something. I don't know how much of it I will actually use. I might even forget about its existence. But I might need to develop a habit to make backup copies. Links data from the external blend files library to the current scene. The editor of the data is only possible in the external library. Links and append are used to load in only selected parts of another file. See links library, which I'm not going to open right now. Appends data from external blend file to the current scene. The new data is copied from the external file and completely unlinked from it. Okay, append might be something I might rely on if I make things that I might reuse in other things. Data previews, tools for managing data block previews. Blender can use information stored in a variety of other formats, files which are created by other graphic programs. I would probably need to look later on this on import export to see if there's a limitation on the file type, which it wouldn't surprise me if there is. Export, normally you save your work in a blend file, but you can export some or all of your work to format that can be processed by another graphics program. I guessing that could also include Unreal, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I'll need to see like this, but I'm pretty sure import and export is gonna be later down the line somewhere here. Hopefully. Let me check one thing real quick. Okay, everything's still working. Hopefully, everything's working well. Actually, is Kicks one actually working? Yes, okay, the Kick side on the of the plugin is working. I was worried that that might not have been working. External data like texture images, and other resources can be stored inside the blend file packed, or as separate file unpacked. Blender keeps track of all unpacked resources via a relative or absolute path. See pack or unpack external data. Okay, this is another reason why I want to learn Krita as well, so in case I need to make my own custom like texture for any of my Blender projects. Something I also want to experiment with once I learn how to use both is maybe draw something on Krita, then bring it over to Blender and try and make it 3D. I gotta try and learn this sort of stuff myself. Who knows, maybe I'll start commissioning this stuff once I actually get the hang of it, particularly the Blender side. Like I said, I'm maining Blender for these quote-unquote art streams. Let's see. Automatically pack into blend. This option activates the file packing if enabled. Every time the blend file is saved, all external files will be packed in it. Pack all into .blend. Pack all used external files into the blend file. Unpack into files. Unpacks all files packed into this blend file to external ones. Makes all paths relative. Makes all paths to external files relative path to current blend files. Makes all paths absolute. Makes all paths to external files absolute. Absolute ones have a full path from the system's root. Report missing files. This option is useful to check if there are links to unpacked files that no longer exist. After selecting this option, a warning message will appear in the info editor header. If no warning is shown, there are no missing external files. I might want to have this on all the time, maybe. In case you have broken links in the blend file, this can find missing files. In case you have broken links in the blend file, this can help you to fix the problem. A browser will show up, select the desired directory or a file within that directory, and a search will be performed. Recursively in all contained directories. Every missing file found is the search will be recovered. Those recoveries will be done as absolute path. So if you want to have relative path, you will need to select make all path relative. Note, recovered files might need to be reloaded. You can do that by one, or you can save the blend file, reload it again, so that all external files are reloaded at once. That might be more efficient. Maybe. Cleanup. Purge all. Remove all unused data blocks from the file. Cannot be undone. See the outliner for more information. This is in case, I guess, you make something, you're not satisfied, you move it off to the side and modify it until you're satisfied, then you have all this trash here, you're not using it, get rid of it. It's actually a nice thing to have. Defaults. This menu manages the startup files, which is used to store the default scene, workspace, and interface displayed when creating a new file. Initially, this contains the startup scene included with Blender. This can be replaced by your own customized setup. Save startup files. Save the current blend file as a startup file. Load factory settings. Restores the default startup files to preferences. Also see managing preferences. And of course close the Blender, and the file is saved into quit.blend. And on to the edit menu. Undo, redo, history. See undo and redo. They didn't even bother to explain it. Give me certain explanation here. Come on, give me a short. I know this is self-explanatory. Undo, okay, maybe take a step back. Okay, no, redo, puts it back in. History maybe shows the things I've modified, and maybe I can choose specific ones to go back to. I'm not entirely sure because this is not telling me that. Maybe it'll show up later down the line. Hopefully it does. Menu search. Find a menu based on its name. Operator search. Executes an operator based on its name. Developer extras only. Interesting. Is this like type license or something? Which doesn't seem fair. Rename action active item. Rename the active object or node. See rename tool for more information. Batch rename. Renames multiple data types at once. See batch rename tools for more information. It is stuff that these, even though they have this stuff, they have a brief explanation, but undo, redo, and history does not. Lock object modes. Restrict select to the current mode. Preferences. Open the preference window. Now there's render menu. This menu will probably be using a lot. Render image. Renders the active scene at the current frame. Shortcut F12. I might need to go back to this and start writing these down on some paper or something. I don't have anything with me now to write it all down. Render animation. Excuse me. Excuse me. My yawning and sneezing at the same time. Sorry. Okay, drink some water just in case. Render animation. Render the animation of the active scene. Render animations for more details of which that's gonna be later down the line probably, because I do need to learn animation, especially if I am going to do anything 3D. To be honest, since I may be doing Unreal and probably Gemini are gonna end up doing something 2D, I always been more of a 3D guy, and if I can do maybe something 3D on my own on the side as sort of experimentation and to learn, and have that knowledge in hand just in case we ever switch and do something 3D, that'd be nice. You know, like being able to do this. Plus, who knows? Maybe I can do something 2D with this as well. I don't know. Or maybe we do a 2.5D, which I can do a 3D model, but there is on a 2.5D game. Which would be nice to do, actually. I do like my 2.5D games. Render audio. Wait, audio? Mix the scene audio file into the sound file. I know I can do like some animations with it. Hopefully this audio part isn't as complex as that of Unreal. Hopefully this is more like straightforward and streamlined. View render. Toggles show render view. View animation. Plays back render animation in a separate player. Also see an animation player and for more details, animation player preferences to select different animation players. Lock interface. Lock interface during rendering in favor of giving more memory to the render. Wait, what? Lock interface during rendering in favor of giving more memory to the render. So if I use lock, will some of the memory be redirected to the rendering? That part I'm not really understanding that too well. Okay, window menu, new window, creates a new window by copying the current window. New main window creates a new window with its own workspace and screen size. Okay, this is good to know the difference between these two. So one will open a new window by copies whatever it is I had previously, while main window just creates an entirely new one with default settings. They won't copy anything. Toggle window full screen, toggles the current window to full screen. Next workspace, switch to the next workspace. Previous workspace shows stats bar. Okay, here. Choose where the status bar at the bottom of the window should be displayed. This is in case I start like bumping into bugs or something when I'm trying to make something like custom animations or things like that. Just if there's a bug, this might actually report it to me, and hopefully it actually tells me what exactly the bug is, unlike Unreal where it gives you, oh, you have a bug. Okay, tell me what the bug is. But it doesn't tell me. Not exactly, no. Save screenshot captures a picture of the active area of whole Blender window. This might be useful for when I start actually making something myself, and I want to show it probably over on Twitter and Discord of what I'm actually been working on. How many, of course, self-explanatory. Workspace. This set of tabs are used to select a current workspace, which are essentially predefined window layouts. Scene and layers. The data block menus are used to select the current active scene and view layer. Okay. That's hopefully explain more details later down the line when I actually start doing scenes and layers. Let's see, workspace. I'm surprised it still hasn't sent me over into Blender to start actually messing with that stuff that it's been explaining to me yet. So firstly, when this is the layout of everything, and that's it, and what this each thing does. Workspace are essentially predefined window layouts. Blender's flexibility with areas lets you create customized workspace for different tasks such as modeling, animating, and scripting. It's often useful to quickly switch between different workspace within the same file. Now that I see scripting, I wonder what language it uses for scripting. Is it C++? Is it C Sharp? Is it Python? I might need to look that up. Unless somebody knows, then they can tell me. If it's C Sharp, I might not have too much trouble with it. I have a little bit of a base knowledge of C Sharp. It's been a while. If it's C++, then goddamn, I'm gonna have to learn that. Then again, I do have to learn that for Unreal as well, if it's C++. It's often usually... Okay, I did read that already. I think. Okay, controls. Tabs. Click on the tab tiles to switch between the workspaces. To cycle between workspaces, use Control Page Up and Control Page Down. Double click to rename the workspace. I'm probably just end up clicking it because I really don't like having to press those buttons. Plus, where my keyboard is that? Since I have a different model of keyboard. Okay, I think I see them. Since I have like an Argentinian keyboard, some things are like moved around from the normal American keyboard. Add. Click on Add button to add a new workspace. Context menu. The context menu contains options to duplicate, delete, and reorder workspace. Default workspace. Blender's default startup shows a layout workspace in the main area. This workspace is a general workspace to preview your scene and objects and contain the following editor: 3D viewport on the top left, outliner on the top right, properties on the bottom right, and timeline on the bottom left. Now let me have a look at that. I'm guessing this is the timeline. Okay, let me see that image again. Can I actually open this a little bigger? No, I cannot. I'm guessing this is like that. This is a 3D. This is the outliner. This is the. Okay, I think I get it. So this is the outliner. This is the properties. Okay, I think I get it now. It wasn't. I just noticed the color coding on the thing, but I wish I would show it here as well. The color codes instead of just that. 3D viewport yellow, like this. Like this should be like up here instead, so I can actually make more heads or tails. Blender also has several other workspaces added by default. Modeling for modification of geometry by modeling tools. Sculpting for modification of mesh by sculpting tools. UV editing, mapping the image texture coordinates to 3D surface. Texture paint, tool for coloring images texture in the 3D viewport. Shading, tools for specific material properties for rendering. Animation, tools for making properties of the object dependent on the time. Rendering, for viewing and analyzing rendering results. Composing, combining and post-processing of images and rendering information. Scripting, programming workspace for writing script, of which it would be nice if they would specify what language this works with, like what languages of scripting are compatible with this. Would be nice to know. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Additional workspace. Blender has a couple additional workspaces to choose from when adding a new workspace. 2D animation. Okay, yeah, this is something I like. 2D animation. I can do 2D here on Blender. I not have to learn Krita, although I think it says 2D animation, so I might actually need to learn Krita as well and make something to animate here, maybe. Although I really don't think so. I'll probably end up using some other tool for that. 2D animation. General workspace to work with grease pencil. Okay. Where is grease pencil? 2D full canvas. Similar to 2D animation but contains a larger canvas. VFX. Masking. Tools to create 2D masks for compositing. Motion tracking, tool for motion track and stabilize footage. Could this be possibly used to actually animate a 2D avatar as well? Maybe? I know there's actual dedicated tools for that sort of things, but can Blender also do that? I don't think it could. I didn't know it could actually do that with 2D. At least in Blender, like the tool for 3D related stuff, not 2D. Outside of ploy animation, making just some minor animations for that sort of stuff. Video editing, that like this is what I see the 2D mostly used for, the video editing part. Video editing scene to get sequence together media into one video. Save and overwrite. The workspace are saved in the blend file. When you open the blend file, enabling the load UI in the file, browser indicates that Blender should use the file screen's layout and overriding the current layout. See load UI. A custom set of workspace can be saved as a part of the default. Okay. I don't know how much custom stuff I'm actually gonna be touching into. That probably later down I'm gonna make something more advanced. And give me a second, I'm gonna drink some water. Okay. Status bar. Hold on. How long have I been going already? Did you keep track of the time? Okay, it's only been 40 minutes. So I can just keep on going for a little while longer. Like I said, I want to try and push the Blender stuff to be somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And I do lose track of time very easily. The status bar is located at the bottom of the Blender window and displays contextual information such as keyboard shortcuts, results or warning messages, and statistical information. The status bar can be hidden by disabling show status bar in window menu or by dragging from the top edge down. Wait, I can see actually shortcuts down there? Alright, I don't think I have it visible actually. Let me see. So that could be from here. Just double system console. Okay, here is status bar. Wait, that just simply went down. So this is a status bar then. Dope sheet contest menu, pan view. I don't see where the shortcuts are though. Well, let's carry on. Key map information. The left side of the status bar displays mouse button shortcuts and key map in the key map. So for the active tool in key map of the active tool. I can do English. Excuse me. In editors with a toolbar, pressing Alt shows the hotkeys to change desired. Change the desired tool. Okay, so if I hit Alt, okay. I don't need to like hold it. Okay, so it does sort of like change a little bit. I think you guys can't properly see it since I think, yeah, you can only see a small part of it. Like this is it right here, but part of it's kind of cut like around these edges, so I can actually show you guys what I'm actually reading. So sorry about that. Now let's see. Status messages. This the middle of the bar displays information about the about in progress operations, and that will be point the case when I start actually rendering stuff, which I'm not right now. And as I want to actually keep that open right now for now until I actually start doing something. Running task. The process of the currently running task is how is shown when the computation is being performed. For example, rendering, backing, or playback. However, the mouse pointer over the process bar will display a time estimate. The task can be aborted by clicking on the cancel button. Report messages. Blender operation results or warnings such as after saving a file, they disappear after a short time. Click this label to show the full message on the toolbar. What label? It says click on this label to show the full message on the info editor. I don't see it. It's not showing me which button. Like this one's for the running task, but what about the report message? Okay, I guess I'll have to figure that out on my own. Resource information. The right side of the status bar displays information about the blender distance. See, these can individually show or shown or hidden by right mouse button on the status bar. Wait, are those actually somewhere there? Okay, let me put this back on. Maybe we need to hold Alt to see it, maybe. I probably won't rely too much on this, unless fully necessary. Scene statistics. Collection. Name of active collection. Active object. Name of active selected object. Geometry displays information about the current selected of the current scene depending on the mode and object type. This can be the number of vertices, faces, triangles, or bones. Object. Number of selected objects and the total count. System memory. Estimate the Blender's RAM consumption in a single instance, single machine scenario. This estimate provides a measurement against the hardware limits of the machine. This is good to know, so that way I'll know for sure how much of my computer is actually being used whenever I'm rendering anything, and if I maybe need to edit something to lower that usage for streaming's sake. Blender version, the version of, okay, that's self-explanatory. And okay, now here comes what I feel might be the more important stuff. Areas. The Blender window is divided into a number of rectangles called areas. Areas reserved screen space for editors, such as a 3D viewport or the outliner. In general, an editor provides a way to view and modify your work through the specific part of Blender. All hotkeys you press will affect the content of the editor in the area the mouse pointer is located. Area boundaries are indicated by rounded beveled corners. This is a word I've actually not seen, since English is not my main language. I'm not entirely sure how that would be pronounced, so I probably butchered it. Areas can be customized to match specific tasks called workspaces, which can be named to save for later use. Resizing. You can resize areas by dragging their borders with a left mouse button. Move your mouse cursor over the borders between two areas so that the cursor will be a double-headed arrow, and then click and drag. That is pretty typical and I'll probably be around on that when I have like bigger details that I need to actually read, or if I need to look for something specific, but the window's not big enough to show it. Splitting. Splitting an area will create a new area. Placing the mouse cursor in an area corner will change the cursor to a cross, to indicate that pressing down left mouse button will activate splitting or joining operation. Dragging from area corner inward will split the area. You define the split direction by dragging either horizontally or vertically. Let me actually look at Blender. Ah, right here. I think this is where it is. That's the only part that actually looks like that. joining. Dragging from the area corner outward will join two areas. The area that will be closed gets a dark overlaid arrow. You can select which areas you will close by moving the mouse over areas. Release the left mouse button to complete the join. If you press escape or right mouse button before releasing the mouse, the operation will be aborted. Note, areas to be joined must be the same size, width, or height in the direction you wish to join. Otherwise, nothing will happen. This is so that the combined areas remain as rectangles. Okay, excuse me. Area options. Right mouse button on the borders, open the area options. Split area shows the indicator line that lets you select the area and position when to split. Tap twice between vertical and horizontal. Join area shows the join direction overlay. Swapping content. You can swap content between two areas with control left mouse button. On one of the corners of the initial area, dragging towards the target area and releasing the mouse there. The two areas do not need to be side by side, though they must be inside the same window. Okay, I don't know why I wouldn't have them on the same window. I mean, this looks pretty clean already as it is. Unless if I click something that like it opens another window here, then yeah, that will make sense. Duplicate areas into new windows. Reference menu, view area, duplicate areas into a window. And this is not even clickable. A new floating window containing an area. Excuse me. Ugh. Even though I had some coffee, it seems like it has yet to reach my head. Oh, coffee mate, to be more precise. A new floating window containing an area can be created from a view area, duplicate area into a new window. Not available in some editors, which I'm guessing it is available here, otherwise why it's talking about it. I guess it's referring to probably the version, maybe? Or some of those windows cannot be popped out, maybe. The new window is a fully functional window, which is part of the same instance of Blender. This can be useful, e.g. if you have multiple monitors, of which I do not. Maybe once I have a proper income, I'll purchase another monitor, which I technically have to, so I can actually start seeing OBS on a separate monitor and make it easier for me to see the chat. Right now I have it on my laptop, and well, it's not the best, so the screen is not that big. Plus, the screen tends to refresh every once in a while, and I still have to figure out why that my laptop does that. So far, it hasn't done so yet. You can also create a new window for an existing area by shift and left mouse button on the area corner, then drag outwards slightly. The window can be closed with the OS close window button. Toggle maximize area. Okay. Menu view, toggle maximize area. Hotkey, control spacebar. I guess that would be more useful if I want to like maximize this whole section, although it's already decently sized. The maximize area fills the whole application window. You can maximize an area with view toggle toggle max view area toggle maximize area menu entry or keyboard shortcut. To return to normal size, use the keyboard shortcut again, or the back to previous button on the toolbar. Note, the area your mouse is currently hovering over is the one that will be maximized using the keyboard shortcut. Okay, that's good to know. So say I wanted to maximize this metal one, but the mouse over here, if I use a keyboard shortcut, it'll maximize this menu instead of this one. Toggle full screen area. Control Alt Spacebar. The full screen area. Why did that move? Like, Blender just switched size positions on my Windows search bar. I don't know why that just happened. That was weird. The full screen area contains only the main region of the editor. To exit full screen, you use the keyboard shortcut or move the mouse to the top right corner of the area and to reveal the return icon. I'm not gonna mess with that right now. I am gonna drink a little bit of water, so give me a sec. Okay. Regions. Every editor in Blender is divided into regions. Regions can have smaller structuring elements like tabs and panels, with buttons, controls, and widgets placed within them. Let's see, and we have the header right up here, main region, which is where we'll do most of our things. The toolbar, which I'll be using that a lot. Sidebar, this is to manually set any value that I might not be able to do it through other means. And adjust last operation panel, of which I have not seen yet. Even though I clicked on the cube while testing something, this did not show up. There must be a reason for that. But let's see what is what. Main region. At least one region is always visible. It is called the main region. It is the most prominent part of the editor. Each editor has a specific purpose, so the main region and the availability of additional regions are different between editors. See specific documentation about each editor in the editor chapter. Header. A header is a small horizontal strip which sits either at the top or bottom of the area. All editors have a header acting as a container for menus and commonly used tools. Menus and buttons will change with the editor type and the selected object and mode. Context menu. On the header reveals a context menu with a couple of options. Show header toggles the visibility of the header. If a header is hidden, you can make It can be made visible again by dragging the small arrow that appears at the top bottom right of the editor. Okay. I'll probably never do that. I kind of prefer to have anything that's useful visible all the time. Show tool settings. Toggles the visibility of the tool settings. Show menu. Toggles whether the menus are collapsed or not. Flip to bottom top. Toggles whether the header or tool settings appears on the top or bottom of the editor. Maximize areas with something already read. Toolbar. The toolbar on the top left side of the editor area contains a set of interactive tools. T toggles the visibility of the toolbar. This is further documented here. Toolbars. Not I'm gonna mess with that right now. Tool settings. The tool settings at the bottom top of the editor area contains, as its name suggests, the settings of the active tool. Its visibility can be toggled with the header context menu, just as it's posting with the flip to bottom top operator. Adjust last operation. The adjust last operation is a region that shows tool options when tools operators are run. This is further documented here. Adjust last operation. Hopefully this is explained more later down the line. I'm not gonna click on that just yet. Maybe somewhere in one of these is explained with more details. Sidebar. The sidebar on the right side of the editor area contains panels with settings of objects within the editor and the editor itself, and toggles the visibility of the sidebar. Further, the editor shows a bar on top bottom of the editor area. This displays information about, for example, the active tool. Arranging. Scrolling. A region can be scrolled vertically or horizontally by dragging it with the middle mouse button if the region has no zoom level. It can be scrolled by using the wheel while the mouse hovers over it, changing the size, hiding. Resizing regions works by dragging their borders the same way as areas. To hide a region, resize it down to nothing. A hidden region leaves a little arrow sign. Left mouse button on this icon to make the region reappear. So if I pull this in, okay, I see where the arrow would be. And give me a second, let me see how long it's been. Okay, let's keep on going for a few more of these. Once I reach an hour and a half, I'll see where I am standing and then decide to stop the Blender section and get ready for the Krita section. Tabs and panels. Tabs are used to control overlapping sections on the user interface. Content of only one tab is visible at a time. Tabs are listed in tab header, which can be vertical or horizontal. Let me see that real quick. I guess it's referring to this part. Like, that's what it looks like here in this place, and that must be the one it's talking about. Switching cycling. I probably will leave it just the way it is, like in this position. I'm more comfortable than with that than having it like up here. Vertical tabs can be switched with the control wheel from anywhere on the tab. You can also cycle through tabs with control tab and shift control tab, or press down left mouse button to move the mouse over tab header icon. Workspace tabs do not use key maps. See workspace control. Panels. The smallest organizational unit in the user interface is a panel. The panel headers show the title of the panel. It is always visible. Some panels also include sub-panels. Collapsing and expanding. The panel can either be expanded to show its content or collapse to hide the content. An expanded panel is indicated by a down arrow, and the panel hidden, while a collapsed panel is down with a right arrow. It's shown with a right arrow. Okay, so this is what it's referring to. These I'll probably mess with those once I actually start doing something there, which I will be once I get to that part of the tutorials. A click with the left mouse button on the panel header expands or collapses it. Pressing A, it collapses the panel under the mouse pointer. Control left mouse button, click on the header of the specific panel will collapse all other panels and make this the only expanded one. Control click left button, click on the header of a specific panel that contains a sub-panel will expand, collapse all sub-panels. Dragging with the left mouse button over the header will expand or collapse many at once. Position. You can change the position of the panels with the region by clicking and dragging with the left mouse button on the grip widget located in the right side of the panel header. Pinning? I cannot pronounce this properly. Sometimes it is desired to view panels from different tabs at the same time. This has been solved by making panels pinnable. Oh, it's pinning. Just putting a pin on it. A pin panel remains visible regardless of which tab has been selected. You can pin a panel by clicking on the pin icon in its header. Panels that do not have a pin icon can also be pinned by a right mouse button and selecting pin, or to use shift left mouse button on the panel. Zoom. The zoom factor of a whole region with the panels can be changed by control middle mouse button. Clicking and moving the mouse anywhere within that region, or uses the number pad plus and number pad minus to zoom in and out the content. Pressing home shows all will reset the zoom at the screen panel focused by the mouse pointer. Now, plus and minus of the number pad side, those I'm not gonna touch because those are tied to the shortcuts. Show my streaming shortcuts. I'll probably rely on my middle mouse wheel. This is still part of the getting started. Well, we are almost done with it. Sort of, apparently. Now, common shortcuts, conventions, keyboard. Okay, this is actually shortcut stuff. So, the key letters are shown in the menu like they appear on the keyboard. For example, G refers to the lowercase g. Shift, Control, Alt are specified as modifier keys. Pretty common thing to see. I think even Unreal has something like that. Control W, Shift, Alt, A indicates that these keys should be pressed simultaneously. Number pad 0 to number pad 9 and number pad plus refers to the keys to the separate numeric keypad. Other keys are referred to by the name, such as Escape, Tab, F1 to F12. Special note are arrow keys, left, right, to, and so on. Mice. The manual refers to mouse button as left. Okay, this is self-explanatory. I might actually skip all of this. Mouse. Blender's default key map has two main interactions: mode right and left mouse click. Here are the properties. Control C, copying the single value. Like, yeah, these are pretty common stuff. Animations. Insert a keyframe. Alt I clears a keyframe. This I'm gonna skip this. These are just the different shortcuts. This is something to learn, but I don't. Later off stream, I'm gonna come back to it and make a copy of all of this on a separate page. In the case that I need to look for these sort of shortcuts. Actually, can I do that from here? Okay, no. I'll come back to this later on my own time to write down all of those. And okay, here we are, the more default key maps. For those watching this as a VOD, well, you can always pause it, look at it, write down what you need, and move and continue with the rest of my tutorial. Well, of me going through the tutorials. Like I said, I'm learning how to use Blender, and I do want you to learn this sort of. I do feel like I need to learn these sort of shortcuts. I'll probably later just make a copy of all of this myself. I don't like using these F keys. I haven't used them in a long time too. But I have to get used to using this stuff. Command editor keys. Well, some of these I'll probably end up coming back to once I start to get to actually using. This platform specific keys for like Mac OS. So I'm actually gonna skip this part because I don't use Mac OS. And what is this? Preferences. Select which mouse button. This is just editing, I guess, the preferences. Spacebar action, controls and action, space bar. Okay, what are all these? display the timeline. This option is good for animation or video editing. You don't say. Tools opens the toolbar underneath the cursor. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna skip a lot of this because it's pretty much self-explanatory. Although this is actually view, that is actually relevant to me. The view part. 3D view. Grave accent title tilt action. Navigate. Navigation pie menu. Useful for systems without a numeric keypad. Gizmos. Transforms gizmos pie menu. Useful for quickly switching between transform gizmos. Middle mouse action. Orbit. Rotates the view around the pivot point. Shift middle mouse button. Is used for planning the view. Probably something I'm using a lot. Pan. Shift the view towards the mouse. Shift middle mouse button to use the. Okay, same as the upper one. There's like no difference there. Just one is for panning, one is for. Although these two are actually backwards. This panning one should be down here, and orbiting should be up here. Blender? You got these two backwards. This one says orbit, but it's saying planning here. Panning. Well, panning says orbiting. Like, these shoes are actually backwards. Okay, Blender, you might need to read this stuff before publishing it. Alt middle mouse button drag action. Relative sets the view axis where each mouse direction maps the axis. Excuse me. Relative to the current operation. Absolute. There's the view axis where each mouse direction always maps to the same axis. Tab for pie menu. Causes tab to open a pie menu. Swap tab and control tab. Pie menu on drag allows the key to have the secondary drag option. And let's move on. Like, this is mostly like more shortcuts. Industry compatible key maps. When this is not a this is not a comprehensive list. This page shows common keys used in the industry compatible key maps, of which, like I said, those watching the VOD or the video that I'll up separately as later can always pause to look at these and probably write it down. Or go to this site and, well, see them for yourself. Well, you just click on manual and it'll take you to the page where it'll take you to like this page where you can actually do all of this stuff. Well, I myself selected the user interface as I skip basically getting started, since I skipped the other stuff which is currently not relevant for me. At least not yet. Platform specific keys, and that one doesn't matter because I don't have a Mac. Let's see, buttons. Operator buttons. Operator buttons perform an action when clicked by the left mouse button. Button may show the icon, text, or both. Checkboxes and toggles. This is self-explanatory. Dragging radio button. Okay, what radio button? Ready buttons are used to choose one option from the selection of options. Active buttons is indicated by a color on the icon background. Okay. Cycling, control wheel, direction buttons. Clicking with left mouse button on the sphere and dragging the mouse cursor lets the user change the direction by rotating the sphere. Let's go here and oh my god, that was hella sensitive. That is hella sensitive. But okay, this is better. But I still don't get that. Which is this here. Maybe this will get explained later, I guess. Let's see. Cycling, direction buttons, shortcuts. Let's mountain drags rotates the direction. Control wheel dragging. Okay. But if I do this, it starts doing that box thing, but that moving around is when I hold down the middle mouse button. Even when I hold control, it still does this. Does a little square to select stuff. And let's see. Fields. See, I can skip this rest of the rest of this because none of this is technically relevant, since this is pretty self-explanatory and very similar to what I've seen on Unreal. And multi-value editing, which is, let me go back. Hey, just editing this stuff here on the side. Value limits. Okay, now this is something that I'll go actually read. Most numerical values are restricted by soft limits and hard limits. Value range. Changing values by dragging with the mouse is restricted to the soft limit value range. Input via keyboard will allow the user wider value range, but never wider than the hard limit, which you're not giving me the either limit. Like, what would that limit be? Expressions. You can enter mathematical expressions into the number field, for example entering 3 times 2 or 10 divided by 5 plus 4 instead of 6. But why would you do that? Well, unless you want like specific like decimal, and that would make a bit more sense maybe. Even constants like pi 3.14, no 142, or functions like square root of 2 may be used. I guess that would be useful if you're looking for something a little too specific. But I don't see myself doing that at all. I also see expressions evaluated by Python For all available math expressions, see math module. Okay, so this is in Python. Expressions as drivers. I don't know if this is relevant information really. You may want your expressions to be reevaluated after is entered. Blender supports this using drivers as feature of the animation system. Expression being with hashtags have special use. Instead of evaluating the value and discarding the expression, a driver is added to the property with an expression instead. The expression hashtag frame is a quick way to access map value of the current frame, but more complex expressions are also supported. Hashtag fmod frame 24 divided by 24, for example, which I don't know what that would do. This is simply a convenient shortcut and to add drivers with which can also be added with the right mouse button. Okay. Units. As well as example, you can specify numbers of units. If no unit is given, then default unit is applied. The unit system can be changed by this scene setting. Now, which I'm Argentina, I'm just gonna keep on using the metric system. Most of the world uses metric system. I think they use the only one that refuses to use it. You can see either the unit abbreviation or the full name after value. Example, valid usage of length unit include 1 centimeter, 1 meter, 3 millimeters, 1 meter, 3 millimeters, again with a comma, 2 feet, 3 feet divided by 0.5 kilometers, 2.2 millimeters plus 5 inches divided by, actually no, I don't think that's 5 inches, that's, I don't know what that little mark is. Like I said, use a metric system and I don't see that on the metric system. Note, using units, decimal separators is optional. You can mix units, e.g. metric and imperial, even though you can only show one at a time. Plurals of the names are recognized too. So meter and meters can both be used. Color field. The color field stores the color value shown on its background. Click the list mouse button on the color field. Opens the color picker. Color field is the alpha changes as the device is halved. On the left of the color, it is shown without an alpha channel, and on the right of the color with an alpha channel shows over the checker pattern. This is colors can be copied to other colors fields by being dragged and dropped to another color field. And okay, I was actually still in this section. Okay, so getting started, it's actually a little bit longer than expected. And let's see, I'm already reached the hour-and-a-half marker. And these aren't gonna be like full-length streams like I normally do on my gaming one. And this one is actually significantly longer. This one might take me a while to go through. So for the Blender section, I will leave it there. Give me a sec. Okay, that's gonna be it for the Blender section. Of course, I'm gonna do a little outro because I will separate this recording for YouTube, having a little playlist and not having mixed in with the Krita one, which is the Photoshop-like software. And I will put it back on the starting soon again for the new recording, and while I set up the capture and the tutorial page for me to go through. Like I said, Blender is gonna be the main thing I'm going to learn, but I do want to learn also the use anything like similar to Photoshop. It'll be so that I can start making some thumbnails, or I start making some drawings for me to later translate into Blender, or maybe make a 2D avatar. Who knows? And I'm just using this PNG one I made with a template. But anyways, I'm gonna let a YouTube outro before, and then I'll end the recording. So also this will be also uploaded on VStream separate as well. For those watching me there on VStream, you don't need to worry about going to YouTube. I'll upload the videos separately as well for both sites. So thank you for watching this Blender section of me learning this. I will continue this every Tuesdays. I'll be doing this sort of things, and let me think. I'll try and get as far as I can. Like I said, I'm gonna keep these between an hour and a half and 2 hours, but since this next section is gonna be a little longer and I am a little bit like tired, I'm not gonna push myself, and I do want still to do the Krita section. So thank you for watching on this Blender session, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye. Okay, that stopped our recording for the YouTube. Excuse me for those watching the stream. I'm gonna switch to the starting soon, while for the recording for the Krita and set that up on the meantime. Once I have it set it up, I'm gonna come back to this. So give me a sec. I'll be right back. everybody. So for those over on YouTube and Vstream that will be seeing this in a separate recording, I do this live doing Blender and Krita on the same day. Right now this is the Krita section that I'm recording separately, but if you wish to see it live, you will probably have to wait, and for that I will do the Blender section first. I am learning right now Blender and Krita at the same time, during every Tuesdays. I already have both open. Well, still waiting on something to close actually there. Okay, there we go. And I'll be going through the Krita tutorials for me to actually learn how to use this Photoshop-like software. I've never used Photoshop. I cannot pay for Photoshop anyways, and I've never used any software like it. So I have no idea how it works, how the tools works, and and how it may differ from Photoshop. I've seen probably my brother using it, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, he's the one who recommended me this software. The main reason for me to learn Krita right now is, well, there's two main reasons. Since I'm learning Unreal with my friend Strasbourg Jim, I wanna maybe use it to make 2D assets, maybe even textures for whatever I make on Blender, and to maybe eventually make my own 2D model. Or if I end up doing more on the Blender side, maybe to do a low poly one there, and I just need to make the drawing to work from that. And I'll be considering probably a third one, and that's maybe eventually maybe commissioning some art or something. I don't know. I do not have a drawing tablet or anything, so that everything will be done with my mouse. So let me switch over to the overlay. So this is what the software looks like. And since I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to ignore these two. I had a quick look at these, and this is one has a little bit more of the advanced stuff, and that's not what I'm going for. It's just, well, installing the thing, downloading and installing the thing. So let's go with the get started section first. I have not looked into this one. Of course, it has obviously these two, which are not relevant again. But let's start with the basic content, I guess. And my goodness, this is the basic content a little bit big. And I guess I'll go through this stuff here. Well, actually, no, this is just all leads me over to this stuff. So never mind. Fair warning, I'm no artist. I can't draw for shit, so do not expect like something too fancy, like anything like this. That's a long way from me at making anything pretty. I just need a lot of practice, and like I said, this is gonna be just every Tuesdays on my live stream. If you're seeing this on recording, then yeah, you'll probably see it like once a week. Since as soon as I'm done uploading the next day, I'll be uploading this. Let's see. So even from this, it says that it starts with raster and vector. Let's actually read this first part. If this is your first foray into digital painting, this page should give you a brief introduction to the basic but important concept required for getting started with digital painting in Krita. I think that's how it's pronounced. I have no idea how it's actually pronounced. Although very lengthy, this page tries to give a brief overview of some of the Krita most important functionalities. It tries to help you grasp the functions of various menus and buttons in Krita without going into minute details. Oh, and also, since Blender is gonna be the main thing, I'm gonna be trying to learn. These sessions, Krita sessions, will be roughly an hour. I won't push it too far. Also, not to overwhelm myself between the Blender and the Krita stuff. Now, so the first thing is uh, raster and vector. I think that's pronounced raster. Like I say, I am no artist, so I'm gonna probably struggle with a few things. That and English is not my main language, so sorry if I struggle with some of the words. And also, hopefully, my audio is actually working. I think it should be working. Also, sorry the fact that there is like no music in the background or anything. I didn't have time to look for any like playlist that won't get me into trouble with copyright. Hopefully by next Tuesday I might find a way to have music running in the background while I go through this stuff. But anyways, let's carry on. Even though Krita is regarded primarily as raster-based application, which I don't know what the difference is, it has some vector editing compatibilities. You mean compatibilities? I think this is misspelled as well. If you are new to digital painting medium, it is necessary that you first get yourself acquainted with the concept of raster and vector-based images, of which I don't know either. So hopefully this explains it to me. In a digital image, a pixel picture element is a basic and lowest element in an image. It is basically a grid of point each displaying specific color. Raster editing is manipulating and editing these pixels. For example, when you take a 1 pixel brush, which is colored black, and paint on the white canvas, in Krita you are actually changing the color of a pixel beneath your brush from white to black. When you zoom into and see brush strokes, you can notice many small squares with colors. These are pixels. So I guess this is what it's referring to. And I do see sort of like the variation on the shading. Like it goes from lighter all the way to black. Each pixel is assigned a color. I don't know. Hopefully I don't have to worry too much about that. At least not yet. If I do get to like, I don't know, pixel art, then yeah, knowing this stuff might actually be relevant for me. But I'm not gonna get to that just yet. Right now I need to learn how to draw to begin with. In contrast to raster image, vector graphic images are based on mathematical expressions. They are independent of the pixels. For example, when you draw a rectangle on the vector layer in Krita, you are actually drawing paths passing through points that are called nodes, which are located on specific coordinates on the x and y axis. When you resize or move these points, the computer calculates and redraws the path and displays the newly formed shape to you. Hence, you can resize the vector shape to any extent without any loss in quality. In Krita, everything which is not a vector layer is raster based. I hope I'm pronouncing this properly. Raster. Image, view, and window. Before I continue, it is nice that they actually take the time to explain the difference between raster and vector, because I did not know either on this case. In a painting program, there are three major containers that make up the workspace. Image, the most important one in the image, is the image. This is the individual copy of the image that you can open or create via the field dialog. Krita allows you to open the file as a new copy via file menu, or to save it as a new file, or make an incremental copy. Incremental. An image contains data regarding layers, color, space of image, and layers. Wait, why does it have layers twice? Canvas size and metadata such as creator, date created, and DPI, whatever that is, etc. Krita can open multiple images at once. You can switch between them via the window menu. Okay. I already see like maybe a typo here because that's layers twice, which makes no sense. And might maybe tell me what DPI is supposed to mean. Because, like I said, I'm no artist. What is DPI here? If someone knows, let me know down in the comments below. Because the image is a working copy of the image on the hard drive, you can do a lot of little saving tricks with it. New makes a new image, self-explanatory. When you press save, you make a new file on the hard drive. Open makes an internal copy of an existing image. When you press save, it will overwrite the original existing image with your working copy. Open existing document as untitled document. Similar to open, however, save will request you to specify a saving location. You're making a new copy. This is similar to import in other programs. This might be useful if you're using the same image, but you're making actually something different with it. Like maybe if I were to make a new PNG, for example, I want to have different expressions, but I need to set each one of those frames as a separate image. At least for the software that I'm using at the moment. Create copy from current image. Similar to open existing document as untitled document, but with the currently selected image. Save incremental version allows you to quickly make a snapshot of the current image by making a new file with a version number added to it. Okay. I don't know if I'll actually be using that too much. I don't see much use to that. These options are great for people doing production work who need to switch between files quickly or have backup files in case they do something extreme. Krita also has a file backup system in the form of autosave. Backup files in crash recovery. You can configure these options from these features in the general settings. Okay, now I understand why I would use that. So to make a backup if I'm doing like major editing on it, or maybe experimenting using an existing file. You view the image via the view. A view is a window onto your image, Krita allows you to have multiple views, and you can manipulate the view uh, to to zoom, rotate, and mirror, and modify the color of the way you see an image without editing the image itself. This is very useful for artists, as changing the way they view the image is a common way to diagnose some common mistakes, like a drawing with a skewed towards one side. Mirroring with the M key makes such skewing easily identified. If you have trouble drawing certain curves, you will enjoy using rotation of drawing. And of course, there is zooming in and out for precision and rough work. Hey, thank you there for a file, like 16. Okay, I see this and I'll be using this probably a lot, like having this to see what it's looking like while actually doing the editing on this. Which again, don't expect me to draw anything great, because I am no artist. I'm just getting started with this stuff, and I'm gonna need a lot of practice. Okay, let's carry on. Multiple views are possible in Krita via window, new view, image name. You can switch between the via the window menu or the control plus tab shortcut, or keep them in the same area when sub-window mode is active in the settings via window title. Dockers. Dockers are little sub-windows in Krita interface. They contain useful tools like the color selector, layer tracks, tool options, etc. Before I continue, I didn't think about it. Does Photoshop have anything like this? Since I can't get Photoshop, and this is supposed to be a Photoshop-like software, I know I don't recall seeing my brother when he used Photoshop with this. I don't recall him actually using that. Or maybe it had it, but he never really needed it. I wonder now. I'm actually curious now. Let me know when it comes to that. Does Photoshop actually have something like this? This function? Let's carry on in the meantime. The image above shows some Dockers in Krita, which is probably the tools option, brush press, presets, advanced color selector, and layers. This is something I'm gonna have to get used to using, because since I've never drawn, I've never really thought about layers too much. But if I am ever to make a avatar of myself, I'm definitely gonna need that, especially when it comes to rigging. Window. If you've used a computer before, you know what windows are. They are big containers of your computer program. Krita allows you to have multiple windows via window. Okay, window, new window. You can then drag these to another monitor for multiple monitor use, of which I don't have, and I don't see myself actually using that. If I'm going to do one project, I'm going to stick to that single project, and I'm not going to switch to something else until I either like give up on a current project or I finished it. The image below shows an example of multiple windows on Krita. Does anybody even use this? Like, what use would you have for having multiple windows out at once? Like, I don't see, like, maybe having two projects out at once, but I don't see why you would do that, unless you like having one with a reference and the other one with what you're actually drawing. But then, why would you use a Krita window? You can use any other image software. I mean, the Windows have like any image viewer, if you having that sort of like a um, reference or something. Canvas in Krita. When you create a new project in Krita for the first time, you will see a rectangular white area. This is called the canvas. You can see it in the image below, the area marked by the red rectangle, like pretty obvious. When you save a painting as a JPEG, PNG, etc., or take a print out of the painting, only the content inside this area will take is taken into consideration. Anything beyond it is ignored. Krita does store information beyond the area, you just won't be able to see it. This data is stored in a layer. I guess it's actually like you're making a large image, but you may like trying to make a pose, but you don't want the whole thing to actually be visible, just specific parts. You only be like drawing outwards just to make sure you get the sizing and positioning right. I think I saw Speed Painter do something like that before. Layers and compositing. Like a landscape painter with first painting the sky and then the furthest away element before slowly working his way to the foreground element. Computers will do the same with all the things you tell them to draw. So if you tell them to draw a circle after a square on the same spot, the circle will always be drawn later. This is called the drawing order. The layer tracks is a way for you to separate elements of drawing and manipulate the drawing order by showing you which layer are drawn when and allowing you to change the order they are drawn in and also apply all sorts of other effects. This is called compositing. Hello there, Lie16. How you doing? This allows you to have line art above the color or trees before the mountains and edit each without affecting the other. Something you're gonna have to get used to. Krita has many layer types. Each layer type is unique and has its own use case. Paint layer. These are raster layers and the most common and default layer type in Krita. You will be painting on these. Vector layers. This is a layer type on which you draw vector graphics. Vector graphics are typically more simple than raster graphics, and with a benefit that you can deform them with less blurriness. How's the learning process going? It's slow. I will take my time on learning this stuff. Even after I learn this stuff, I'm probably gonna still struggle. Like I said in the beginning, I am no artist, so I'm gonna start drawing some horrendous stuff probably. But practice makes perfect. Right now, I'm learning how to use this tool because I've never used anything like this. I don't even have Photoshop, and I can't even pay for it. That's why I chose to go with something that my brother recommended, since he has experience with Photoshop himself from his days over at college. He told me this was very similar, so I'm gonna learn this. And of course, Blender is the main thing I'm going to try to learn, so the Krita sessions are gonna be shorter, like about an hour, while Blender's gonna be an hour and a half to 2 hours. Let's see. Group layers. These allow you to group several layers via drag and drop, so you can organize, move, apply mask, and perform other actions to them together. This might help me when I decide to make my own avatar through Krita, at least my 2D one. I might need to rely on this grouping stuff to make it a little bit more efficient, and when I probably move it to any rigging software, it might auto group my layers. Maybe. I haven't messed with that yet. Mittens, could you not rub your whiskers on my legs? They make it itchy. Clone layers. These are copies of the layer you select when making them. They get updated automatically when changing the original. I guess it would be useful if I'm making like two of the same thing but mirrored, and I do need them to look like the same, kind of like the eyes, for example. File layers. These refer to an existing image outside of Krita and update as soon as the outside image updates. Useful for logos and emblems that change a lot. Maybe even useful for making thumbnails. Maybe once I learn how to use this properly, I might then start making my own thumbnails. These layers are filled with something that Krita can make up in the fly, like colors and patterns. Filter layer. These layers help us to apply some filters, which will affect a composite image made for all of the layers beneath them. Okay. Guess it's just to make an effect over the image, if I'm understanding that correctly. You can manipulate the contents of the layers with tools. And give me a second, I'm gonna drink some water. My mouth's getting dry. Tools help you manipulate the image data. The most common ones is, of course, the freehand brush, which is the default when you open Krita. There are roughly 5 types of tools in Krita. Paint tool. These are tools for painting on paint layers. They describe shapes like rectangles, circles, and straight lines, but also freehand paths. These shapes then get used by the brush engine to make shapes and drawing effects. Vector tools. This is the upper row of tools, which are used to edit vectors. Interestingly enough, all paint tools except the freehand brush allows you to draw shapes on the vector layer. The result objects won't use the brush preset for outline, unlike the ones made on the paint tool on normal layers. Why does it not use the freehand brush for vector? I prefer to tell me why it wouldn't do that. Hopefully, maybe down the line, once I get to the more advanced stuff, it kind of explains it to me. Hopefully. Selection tool. Selections allow you to edit a variety of specific areas of the layer and are working on without affecting the others. The selection tool allows you to draw or modify the current section. This is like using masking fluids in traditional painting methods, but whereas using masking fluids and film is often messy and delicate. Selections are far easier to use. Wait, masking fluids? I've heard of masking tape, but masking fluids? That's the first I hear. Guide tools. These are tools like grids and assistant. Probably something I might end up relying on a little bit, maybe. Transform tools. These are tools that allows you to transform your layers or objects on the canvas. All tools can be found on the toolbox, and information about individual tools can be found in the tools section of the manual. Brush engines. Brush engines, as mentioned before, takes a path and tablet information and adds effects to it, making a stroke. Engine is a term Krita developers use to describe a complex interaction set of codes that is the core for certain functionalities and is highly configurable. In short, like the engine of the car drives your car, and the type of engine and its configuration affects how you use your car. The brush engine drives the look and feel of the brush, and different brush engines have different results. Man, be careful, would ya? Now's not the time. Kitty cat's being a little bit needy. I guess I'll take care of her once I'm done with this for today. Krita has a lot of different brush engines, all different effects. Left is pixel brush. Pixel brush? Are you sure? That doesn't look very pixelated. Center is color smudge brush, kind of obvious. Right is sketch brush. This doesn't look like pixel brush for some reason to me. Like I don't notice like any pixels or anything on it. For example, the pixel brush engine is simple and allows you to do most of your basic work, but if you do a lot of painting, the color smudge brush engine might be more useful, even though it's slower to use than the pixel brush engine. Its mixing of colors allows you to work faster when you need to blend or mix colors. I guess I would use that if I'm like trying to make shadows on an image. I'm trying to create like an effect as if light would be hitting from a side, and I use a different color to create that effect. I wouldn't know, like I'm no artist, so that's just me guessing. If you want something totally different from that, the sketch brush engine helps you make messy lines, and shape brush engine allows you to make big flats quickly. There are a lot of cool effects inside Krita's brush engines, so try them all out and be sure to check the chapter on each. which I probably might as I go along. You can configure these effects via the brush setting drop down, which can be quickly accessed via the F5 key. These configurations can be saved into presets, which you can quickly access with the F6 or the brush preset docker. Brushes run with colors, but how do computers understand colors? Let's see. Let's do this color section, and then that'll be it for the Krita for today. Colors. Humans can see a few million colors, which are combinations of electromagnetic wavelights bouncing off a surface, where the surface absorbs some of its light. When painting traditionally, we use pigments which also absorb the right light wave for the color we want to have. But the more pigments you combine, the more light is absorbed, leading to a kind of murky black. Mittens, what are you scratching? I'm looking at you, Mittens. Don't play dumb with me. Okay, now the cat's being mischievous. Okay, where was I? Alright. This is why we call the mixing of paints subtractive, as it subtracts light the more pigments you put together. Because of that, in traditional pigment mixing, or most efficient primaries are three fairly light colors: cyan blue, magenta red, and yellow. A computer also uses three primaries and uses a specific amount of each primary in the color as the way it stores colors. However, a computer is a screen that emits light, so it makes more light, which means it needs to do additive mixing, which adding more and more color lights results in white. This is why the three most efficient primaries as used by computers are red, green, and blue. Per pixel, a computer then stores the value of each of these primaries with a maximum depending on the bit depth. These are called components or channels depending on whom you talk to. This is the red channel of the image of a red rose. As you can see, the petals are white here, indicating that those areas contain full red. The leaves are more darker, indicating the lack of red, which is to be expected as they are green. But this is like, okay, I'm guessing they're using a filter here to make that effect, and the amount of these colors determine how it looks. Though by default computers use RGB, they can also convert the CMYK, the subtractive model, or a percentual model like lab. In case this is just a different way of indicating how the color relates to each other, and each time it usually has three components. The exception here is grayscale, because the computer only needs to remember how white a color is. This is why grayscale is more efficient memory wise. In fact, if you look at each channel separately, they also look like grayscale images, but instead white, they just means how much red, green, or blue there is. Krita has a very complex color management system, which you can read more about here, of which I'm not going to click on that. And I think I'm gonna leave it there for Krita, since there's still plenty more for me to go. I'm a little over halfway on this basic concept part. And let's see. And next time I'll probably go to, I don't know which. I'll need to still find the rest of the tutorials to actually figure out how things work. Maybe like I'll rely on this side menu mainly, probably. But anyways, I'm actually a little bit tired. I've been doing a lot of things today. That's why Blender wasn't as long as I was planning on making it. And for those watching this video, don't worry about the Blender section. These videos will be separated on their own respective playlists. Blender on one side, Krita on the other. And yes, I'll be uploading both separate videos on both YouTube and VStream. And for those over on Cake, well, you can always follow me on either of those, and find all of my videos there on either YouTube or VStream. But for now, that is going to be it for today. I'm gonna do a little YouTube outro before I look to Meteor Shower on VStream. So, I'm just like starting to learn this stuff right now. So, if I'm maybe understanding something wrong, or maybe if I struggle with something, let me know down in the comments below. If you're live, everyone's welcome always to chat. This will take me time to learn, so this is always a Tuesday's live stream thing. But I will try my best to like start like actually drawing stuff on the software itself. I do want to learn how to use it first, and I feel like that last part I read about the color, I might have just skip it because it didn't feel too relevant to me, honestly. But anyways, just a little YouTube outro, and thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye. And recording stopped. Now I'm gonna look for someone to Meteor Shower over on VStream. Let me see who is on right now. Okay, let's see. We got Lady Chaos. Is there anyone else doing maybe art so they can like stick to the theme? Let me load like every single stream right now. Let's see. If the person doesn't know what you do, they're playing a game. Let's see. Lady Chaos is on playing a game. Let's see. Do we have anyone doing art right now? It does not look that way. There is someone doing educational stuff, but this is. Let's learn some. Looks like they're doing some coding stuff. But there isn't in parentheses Japanese, so I don't know. I do see Ada on this one though, with Panku. I haven't had the time to look at any of Ada's stuff. I know she's like the image of V-Stream pretty much, along with E. Let's see, anyone else doing art stuff? No. Let me just. Alright, my desktop's already me. Let me see, what is this? Is this actually in English or is it actually in Japanese? Because the title is Let's Learn Some Nihongo Nese, which I don't know what that means. I don't know Japanese. He's also here, surprisingly. Let me turn on the other. They're doing some coding here, apparently. I think I now understand why the Japanese in parentheses, because he wants to learn Japanese. Right now he is actually doing a programming stream. Let's now go to that. I was mainly you came here for art. Let's look for art on V-Stream, but well, nobody's doing art, so let's look for someone doing a game. Maybe an artistic looking game. Or someone with some great energy, like Lily Let It. I do like Lily Let It's like very she's very energetic. Apparently it's doing some, what is this, Pokemon? I have no idea what this is. Oh yes, it is Pokemon. She doesn't recognize what it is, what they're doing. Oh, Bread Summer's also on. What are you doing? Chill variety. I cannot tell what Bread Summer's doing right now. I do not recognize it at all. What about a new Ikeba? I have never seen you. What are you playing? Mario Party. Well, you do enjoy more ones than newer ones. I haven't. Let's mirror shower someone new. I haven't not mirror shower Ikeba ever, and this person just recently started. So let's send my V-Stream viewers over to that one. I don't do rates on Kick yet because I don't know how to do it yet. I have not figured out how rates work on Kick, and I haven't had the time to figure it out. Slash meteor shower Ikeba, and okay. So for those watching the stream and saw that choosings, like I said before, these will be uploaded separately over on YouTube and VStream. If you're interested to watch those specific parts of the stream, like if you're more for the Blender stuff, the Blender will be uploaded separately. But anyways, I am gonna leave it there. I'm really tired, especially from doing some things like all day long today. Otherwise, I probably would have been going for about like another half an hour or so. But anyways, I don't know when I'll be doing Unreal again. Like I said on yesterday's stream, my friend Strange Bro Jim is going through some stuff right now. I'll leave it to him to talk about it on his YouTube stream if he chooses to do so. I don't think it's my place to really talk about it myself. But there will be some Genshin Impact. I still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do tomorrow on Genshin. Hopefully I can figure out, and hopefully I can figure out like some music to put on the background whenever I do this sort of streams, so it's not just me just yapping and reading through the tutorials. I mean, I should at least give you something nice to listen to. Although I do expect to hear maybe some rock or heavy metal because that's the stuff I tend to listen to. I just need to find something that won't give me any issues with copyrights. Which is always the thing that worries me the most. Mainly because of YouTube. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you'll enjoy today's stream, and I hope to see you all next time. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.